Statton Paris shares his journey from working in a car dealership to becoming a successful wholesaler. He actually made his first $10,000 2 years ago by finding a rundown house, getting it under contract, and passing it over to an investor and making a finder's fee. Now, he's quit his job at the car dealership, and he's working on his goal of making $100,000 per month. So this is going to be an incredible episode to open up your eyes at what's possible if you're wanting to provide more for yourself and your family. This is the podcast to 10x your income and replace your W-2 through the proven business model of wholesaling real estate. I've helped over 10,000 people close their very first wholesale deal in the last 7 years in all 50 states with the software platform I created called DealMachine. And my co-host is Ryan Haywood, who took a wholesaling challenge in 2019 when his commissions were cut at his job. And he's gone on to do 425 deals and has not looked back since. So Statton, I'm really excited to talk to you because you've done a lot of exit strategies. You've done a lot of flipping, and you recently said you switched all the way back to only wholesaling. So I was wondering, how long ago was your first wholesale deal?
2 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay. Do you remember how much you made on that?
$10,000. No, actually it was $9,500.
Yeah, almost 10,000. That's pretty good. What motivated you to start wholesaling?
So I had left my job. I was a sales manager at a car dealership for several years. I just got tired of, just working so many hours every week, and, taxes suck, and just the atmosphere wasn't for me. I just tried to find something else. I left. I started writing mortgages. I quickly found out I'm not a mortgage guy at all. So as I saw wholesaling online, I figured, I was probably better with working with people in that aspect than I was doing the mortgages. So I hit the ground running, drive for dollars, try to do it over the phone at first. It didn't work. So I just started setting appointments, and then I started killing it.
What do you mean that you're not a mortgage guy?
I don't enjoy that kind of work as much as I do this kind of work. This kind of work I really find fulfillment in. I find joy in. I don't enjoy at all systems, the processes, the people telling you different things above you. Just being the middleman in between the two people is very hard with that specific industry.
Got it. But for me, wholesaling like being the middleman as well?
No, I'm not processing applications. I'm not sitting on hold all day long. I'm not having to deal with people telling me, let's just give you an example. There was one deal where I had a lady who was an 800 credit score, could pay for this house cash. Her CPA gave her, and he made a mistake on her taxes, so we had to file an amendment. Well, the IRS was 8 weeks out because it was during tax time. They told me that I need to have that lady drive all the way over to Albuquerque and sit there in the office and try to get something from them whenever they offered a CPA letter. The lady told me I'm just going to back out and pay cash. Then they said, oh, okay, we'll accept the CPA letter. That kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. So you did a lot of work, and then the mortgage fell through after you'd done a bit of work?
No, it didn't fall through. No, they tried to make this lady go through some hoops that she didn't have to go through. And then when she was like, I'm just going to pay cash for this property, they finally said, okay, we'll take what you offered us in the beginning. And that was kind of like the end of me wanting to do this. So, yeah.
So you feel like in wholesaling, you have a bit more control is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and also I don't, I sold cars for a long time. It's the same song and dance. It's the same thing, just a different asset.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What do you like about wholesaling more than cars? Why did you stick with the car dealership?
I don't like working 70 hours a week. I don't like reporting first thing in the morning and then leaving 8, 9 o'clock at night all the time. And the further you get moved up, the longer your hours are. So I see this. I have...
You have a bit more control over your time, wholesale.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I love the time, my schedule. I got nobody breathing down my neck for anything. I'm responsible. I take care of my business. So I love it. No strings attached.
Got it. Well, tell us a little bit more about that $9,500 deal that you did. How did you actually find somebody that did end up selling to you?
Driving for dollars. So a lot of people drive and they call. With these, I was just knocking the doors. Let's go. What's up? How you doing? You want to sell your house? This was a little cheap house. It was a probate deal. It took me like 6 months to actually get it all the way to the finish line because I had to track down an ex-husband from her mom that passed away that died 30 years prior. His family, his heirs were like in Minnesota or something. So I had to do a lot of work to get that deal all the way through, but ultimately did close.
Okay. Did you market to them with a postcard or a text, or how did you find out? How did you find them?
Knocked the door.
Oh, got it. So interesting. And you just said, hey, do you want to sell your house? And she was like, yeah.
Well, I just said, hey, I work for a group of investors. They sent me down this neighborhood to knock on some doors. We're buying properties down here for all cash. Are you interested in selling your property?
Love it. Simple as that. Ryan, have you ever door knocked?
So we have not specifically door knocked, but what we like is to drive by and just cold call them while I'm sitting in front of the house. Essentially do the same thing, but not knocking on the door. Now, I do have door hangers, and this has been something that I'm like, should I do this? I've got these door hangers, so I'll knock on the door. If they're not there, I'll leave the hanger. But I've come from a world where I've knocked on doors to sell internet. So knocking on doors to try to get them to sell me their house should be the same process.
Got it. For sure. And that seemed pretty easy on the end for you. How many houses did you door knock before you found somebody that was saying yes?
So many houses. Let's see. So I was hitting this from 9 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the afternoon for like probably a month and a half before I got that lady.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you overcame some feelings, right? You were probably feeling like, oh man, it's a lot of work. I haven't gotten a deal yet, but I put in a month's worth of time. I mean, that could be discouraging. In fact, it is discouraging to most people. How did you get through that?
Well, what actually had happened was I was trying to do it over the phone because everything you see online, everybody does it over the phone. Well, nobody tells you it's 100 times harder to do it over the phone. So I actually spent quite a bit of time trying to do it the phone way, and I was like, this is not working. I've got to make some money. I've got to do something different. So I was just like, I'm going to win if I go in person. So that's whenever I started hitting it. I was just like, people are doing this. There are deals out there. I just got to keep going and try.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, once you had the deal, how did you know who you would end up selling it to?
So what I did was I had met some, through my mortgage connections, I had met some realtors who connected me with the owner of the brokerage, and he's been my number one VIP buyer ever since. He's bought most of my deals.
Okay, so he had a lot of cash. He was just he was looking for buying rental properties, and you were a lead source for him.
Yeah.
Love it. How did you know what price was right for you?
I undersold it.
$9,500. You could have made more. Tell me, how do you know that?
Because this house was worth about $150,000. I had it under contract for $22,500. Yeah, and I sold it for $35,000.
Well, that's a cheap house.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, I bought. It had a lot of issues. This house had been leaking for like 20-something years. Had old electrical. I mean, this was the driving for dollars poster child. So, anyways, I know I probably could have ended up getting like 45 or 50 for it, but me, I don't know really how it worked. I didn't know a lot about rehab. I just knew this was pretty heavy. You walk in that house, it was moldy, it stunk, it was terrible. So I was just like, okay, let's just see if I could get 35. And when he came by, he said, "What's the price?" I said 35, and I should have known right there when he said done immediately. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, I got my first deal, but yeah, I know if I could go back, I probably could have made more money. But the relationship has made me so much more money in the meantime that it's worth it 100 times over.
Oh, okay, got it. Man, yeah. I mean, so what did you do next once you got that deal done? I think it went fairly smooth, right? You had one buyer, and have you sold all your deals to that guy, or did you expand to get more buyers?
Oh, I've got more buyers now. But he's pretty dependable. I did market it to more than one buyer. I marketed it to a couple people. I made a bunch of phone calls, and then he came on that deal. And it really with the probate and stuff, having to deal with all of that, that was not exactly the smoothest deal. The next one I sold was much smoother.
Got it. Well, tell me about the next one then.
This one right here. So what I do is whenever I knock the door, if they didn't answer, I didn't have door hangers. So what I did was, I meant to look this up. There's a guy that does a lot of advertising for you guys. He's a bald guy. He leaves, he has blue rolls of tape and he leaves them on the door. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but anyways, I saw his wholesale gig
For us?
Well, like he uses you guys, and I see his a lot of stuff on YouTube. Anyways, he leaves letters on the door with blue painter's tape, and that's what I started to do. The second deal I got was from a letter I left on a door with blue painter's tape.
So, okay, what did the letter say?
The same thing I said at the door. Hello, my name's Statton Paris. I work for a group of investors. We're looking to buy a house for all cash on your property. Please reach out if you're interested in selling.
Seems pretty simple. You just put your cell phone.
It was handwritten. How many of these did you write yourself?
Oh, I typed them.
Or did you just make them?
I typed them and signed them.
Typed it up? Okay. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. And that one I made like 12,000 something.
Mm-hmm. Such a simple thing, typing a letter, signing it, and taping it to a door, and you can make $12,500 from it.
Right.
Jeez.
And then you started doing more than wholesaling. You said you started doing some flips and recently decided to stop doing flips. So tell me about what was going on that made you try it, and now why have you stopped it?
So, I think, as your character develops, you kind of go through different things. I thought that flipping was where the money was at. So I was like, let's go ahead and start flipping. Well, I was flipping, but the big thing is it's extremely capital intensive. Things pop up all the time that cost you thousands of dollars. There's risk. I mean, there's two flips that I have done. Where I walked out. One I walked out with $4,500 of profit. One I walked out with $8,000 at the end because of all the stuff that popped up. So when you got months invested and lots of capital, it sucks whenever that happens. And with wholesaling, it's just marketing and sales. I don't got to worry about that. The capital is going to come right back as soon as I go into paid channels. I've been doing paid channels since like I'd say early part of last year. And that's been just a complete game changer. That's been great. But driving for dollars is definitely a great way to get into the business.
Hey guys, if you know you want to quit your job in the next 3 months, make sure you're subscribed to this podcast because we've got some incredible frameworks with step-by-step instruction that you're not going to want to miss. Also, leave us a rating and review to let us know your favorite parts and why you want to get financial freedom.
Okay. That makes sense. So you could make some more money on flips, but you could also not make money after spending a lot of money.
And a lot of time. The time is the big thing.
Yeah. So I totally get that. Ryan, are you doing any flips or are you just doing wholesaling?
So I've got my own portfolio of properties. So I've not done any actual flips where we fix it and put it back on the market. We are pretty much strictly wholesaling unless it's something that we find that we want to keep. But we do have our COO, Clint, has become one of our own buyers. So we've got a wholesale deal. He bought it, he flipped it, and made $50K on his first deal. So I know some people are. I don't particularly care to do it. I'd rather just wholesale. It's faster. It's easier. You don't have to worry about rehabbing or any of that. You just turn and sell the contract and collect your money and go on.
Got it. Where are you going to take the business next?
So it's virtual. This is completely virtual. We're moving to several different markets. We started back in January just because we're in a very small population. Population in this county is like 50,000 people. Or like, no, actually, it's 125,000 people. There's only like 50,000 properties. We're starting to reach a point where we're starting to get some diminishing returns on our ad spend. And this is the big thing where, all the people who make it big in this business, they stop with the small potatoes and they start with the big potatoes. So that's when we started going to bigger markets. And then also a big mindset shift. I mean, this last deal that I got, we got it under contract. This one's going to be a $25,000 wholesale fee instead of 10.
Are you serious?
Yeah, exactly. And the big thing is just mindset shift. I feel like I could have paid bigger deals earlier on, but it's just whenever you're getting into this, I really need this deal. Your offers reflect that. And whenever you can really, up your game and change your mindset, that's whenever the fees get bigger.
So let's talk about that. When you're saying you're changing your mindset and upping your game, are you getting better at making offers to buy it, or are you getting better at selling for a bigger assignment fee, or both?
Both. So it's extremely important to do both. So you have to work your buyers and you have to work the seller. But the thing is that your offer really should be so low that they say no first. And if you start back farther, you end up with more money on the same deals.
Yeah.
And that's just how it goes.
Yep. Yeah, I've always said if they're saying yes on your first offer, you started way too high. Because you really need to be uncomfortable even saying your number. If I'm going through all this work, walking through this property, coming up with my number, estimating a general rehab cost, I want to be nervous to tell you what I'm saying. Like, oh man, I don't want to say this. I don't want to offend you. My offer's right at $10,000. If you're not nervous about that first number, you're starting too high. And in starting too high, you're leaving a bunch of money on the table. So many times I have gone to an appointment. I even thought, man, this number is too tight. I will never forget the very first time I walked to this house. The guy, I'm like, this house was immaculate, clean. It was orderly. He had new appliances in there. I'm like, this dude is going to want too much money. And I just asked him, I said, what do you need to get out of this house? And he's like, if a guy would offer me $14,000, I would do it. And I was just like, deal. But what I should have done to get a better deal is, I think I can probably get close to 14. Are you opposed to a number less than if I can get it close? Like, in hindsight, it's always 20/20. You're always like, I could have done it better there. But I was so excited about, man, that was a banger deal. And to this day, I still have that house. So, but yeah, you have to be uncomfortable. You have to be nervous about giving that number. So let's talk now on the selling side. How do you get mindset shift to get better assignment fees?
So you should have a reasonable price that you think you can get there, and you should have multiple people looking at that, and that way you have some activity there, and you say, hey, look, I need this much more. This is your offer. Could you do this? Could you do this? Mm-hmm. And, more oftentimes than not, they'll come up.
Yeah.
If you don't ask, you don't receive. That's just how it is with everything in this world.
They're doing the same thing you and I are doing. The buyers are doing the same exact thing that you and I are doing. You and I are making an offer to the seller. These guys are coming to us. We'll tell them, hey, we need to get this much. We know they're going to come back with an offer. Okay. But they're also going to make a low ball offer. So we have to be, as wholesalers, we have to be prepared for them to do the exact same thing that we do to sellers, but have a good rebuttal for that. Hey, I'll offer you $25,000. Look, I need to be at least be at $30,000. Can you make that work? And just all it's going to do is they're going to say yes or no. It's a starting point, and it gives you that back and forth negotiation, which is where you do get better assignment fees. You can't be so eager to get a deal that you just, yep, I'll take it. Like, you're leaving money. It doesn't matter how big the assignment. It could be $100,000 assignment fee. But if you're too quick to say yes, if that's their offer and you're like, man, I get $100,000 out of this deal. No, you're a business person. You have to treat that like a business and just, can I get you at 105? Do you think you can come up to 105? I need to be right there to make this deal work for me. The worst they can say is no. Period. And if they say yes, you just made $5,000 or more. So I love that. And every wholesaler really needs to get good at shoot low and negotiate. It is a game. Who's going to win?
Mm-hmm. I agree 100% there.
Thad, what are your future goals, man?
I want to get to 6 figures a month. That's my first goal.
When you say get to 6 figures a month, do you think that your life will change from where you're at now? If so, how?
Yeah, absolutely. It'll just be able to do more of what I want to do, and just do more things for my family, do better things, just in general. Be able to help more people and be more influential, and do the things that I want to do. That's the really big goal here is just freedom.
What do you want to do?
Well, I just want to provide for my family and not have to be just super. I don't know, man. I guess I'm not the best at answering that question. I want better things for myself, and as you move through this process, we all start somewhere, we all end up somewhere. And I'm just going to keep doing until I get where I want to be.
Yeah. And
that would just mean everything for me. It would just mean freedom. It would mean that I could do more for others. I could be a much better man. And, it says in the Bible that, every man is measured by what they leave for their family whenever they go. Yeah. I'm supposed to leave something not just for my children, but for my children's children.
Yeah.
And that is something super, super important. And that's the big part of my life. And that's what I want to do. I want to be a good man.
I love that. Yeah. And I can relate to that.
I enjoyed pushing you a little bit, and you obviously don't have to have all the answers. I looked back at some old files in my computer when I was like 23. I read a book. It's called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. Through that process, they wanted you to get really specific about things that you wanted to save and invest for. And I looked back, my items were go get a master's degree at Georgia Tech, $35,000. Get married by the time I was like 30 or something. I don't know, like that. You're right. It's like $20,000. And I literally had bank accounts set up. I was like putting money in these every single month. And obviously I'm like 34. I am not married and I don't have a master's degree. But when I was inspired later by reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I knew I wanted to get into real estate investing to build that same freedom that you were talking about, I just drained those accounts to go use it for something else, right? So, I think it's okay if your goal changes, but what I was very happy about was like, man, at least I was specific and true to myself at the time. I you know what I mean? That gave me motivation to, continue like saving every month or even just start saving for a reason in general. So obviously you're a very motivated individual. I have no doubt you're going to hit 100K per year. It just reminded me of myself and how drastic that changed, but really glad I had a reason in the first place. So no, it's cool. Super, super great to hear from you. What are you going to go do the rest of the day, by the way?
So as soon as we're done with this deal, I have 8 units that I should be locking down. So I'm bringing a contact. I should be getting a deal. I've been working this guy for a while. So I got that one, and then I'm working on this one, another property, but I should have an offer on it before we get off of this call here.
Well, thank you so much. And having accomplished how many deals in 2 years would you say?
It was like 21.
That's awesome,
nice.
Man. What
is
would your actual advice be to somebody who's just starting out today?
I would say that don't be desperate with your offers. Don't be scared that they're going to say no. If they're motivated to sell you a property, they're going to sell you a property. I hope this advice helps you get to bigger wholesale fees quicker. Because like I said, like when I dropped the $25,000 one, this next one I have right here, this one should be $20,000.
Yeah.
So you go from $10,000, $6,500, $8,000. If you can double that, just by, making the right offers and having the right conversations with your buyers, it just takes the whole thing. We all start somewhere. We all got to learn and get there. But if you can skip past the step where I was making 10 to making 20, you're going to move a lot faster than I am.
Amazing. Thanks for leaving us with that. And I hope you have a very successful rest of the day and you get that next deal closed. Thanks, Ryan. You have any more questions before we sign off?
No, man. Congrats on all the success that you're having. It's a pleasure talking to you. I think this episode is exactly what all these new wholesalers needed to hear today. So appreciate the vulnerability and sharing the details, and wish you the best of luck.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.